Hello everyone, this is Amir from Audio Science Review. This is a first video in what I hope to be a series of videos looking inside high-resolution audio from an objective and measurement point of view and see what's going on in them. High-resolution audio is getting more popular, but there's a premium to purchase the tracks, and it would be nice to know if we're getting something extra for the money that we're spending. So here I've just picked an example, music that I've purchased from the audio company name. They actually have a high resolution download service. And from one of my favorite artists, Antonia Forcione. As you can see in here, title is Meet Me in London, and the download sampling rate is 192 kilohertz. What I'm going to do is open the first track in Adobe Audition. I've already done that, so we don't have to wait for it. Once we open that, we see three different displays in here. First one is an amplitude display. So as time goes by, it's showing us how loud the music is getting. We see plenty of black in here, which is what I like to see, meaning they have not tried to push the music all the way to the maximum. They're staying below that. There's air in there, and so that means loudness compression, if used, is pretty mild. I'm not going to talk about this just yet. This is a spectrum display. I'm going to get you to look at this side. This is a Fourier transform of the time domain music samples. What that means is that it's telling us what frequencies exist inside that music and how loud they are. Starts from 0 hertz and goes all the way up to half the sampling rate of 192 kilohertz, which gives us 96 kilohertz. So let's go ahead and play a little bit of this music and see what we have. So what we see, if I zoom out a little bit, and then just bring the area of interest in focus. We see the music playing over here, and it goes up and down as it should. But then we see some other odd things. We see a tone in here, which is problematic. Let me stop it right there. This, what I call idle tone or beacon, is sitting here at around 45 kilohertz. It has nothing to do with the music. It's what we call not correlated with the music. And it's just sitting there. It's a pure tone, a single frequency. What's the cause of it? Most likely it's the scan rate of the monitor that they use. Monitors start displaying 1 pixel from this corner and scan the lines, get all the way to the bottom, and they jump up. Depending on the resolution, they put out a pure tone. And the analog to digital converter, being sensitive, has picked this up. It could also be an ultrasonic alarm in the building, or any of the other sources. But definitely is not music. What's not music is also this other one over here. We have another one over here, and one that's pretty dangerously close to the audible frequency band of 20 kilohertz. So we have one over here at around 22 kilohertz or so. None of this again is music, should not be there, it's disappointing. Now if we look in here, this is also a spectrum display, but it's sort of a heat map where colors have been assigned to amount of intensity at that frequency. And what we want to look at is these steady state horizontal lines. If you look in here, we got one over here, one over here. These exactly correspond to these peaks that I've been talking about. This is the 45 kilohertz one, and we see it right over here. This is a 22 kilohertz one. Boom, is also sitting here. You also see a few other ones that go actually within the audible band. Don't want to be too critical of those. It's hard to examine what they are. But you know, music is sort of random in nature. We want to see it to be noise-like this. We do not want to see correlated pure tones that last the entire track. If they are, that means they're just pure frequencies that are not music. You wouldn't have a whistle playing the whole time at exact one tone at low frequencies. Why have it at high frequencies? So this is just not acceptable. This is all total garbage. It's gonna potentially be amplified by your amplifier, making it work harder. Sometimes you can make some amplifiers oscillate. And it could also drive your tweeter and cause intermodulation distortions that actually can fold back to the audible band. Could have been easily caught. This simple analysis, as you saw, takes no time at all. Every audio workstation software has such a display. And they should have found and eliminated these sources. If they can't eliminate it, then they should have used a lower sampling rate to not include them. No reason to have that. Speaking of sample rate, let's look at the spectrum that was used. Was the bandwidth used wisely? We see the sort of a waterfall drop of our music over here, but then we see that it sort of levels off. That's not natural. Then it goes down, and here it goes back up at roughly half the sampling rate. This is clearly noise. It's probably caused by noise shaping in an analog digital converter or something along the way. It is not natural. It is not part of the music. This is pure nonsense, pure garbage. And if we play the music, we can dynamically see how much of the content is actually correlated together, and that's likely our music spectrum. So we see this obviously up to 20 some kilohertz is definitely music. What's over here is somewhat questionable. Does not change with the content of music most of the time, but if I play enough of it, occasionally it sort of jumps up and down in correlation with the lower frequency, like it just did. So at best, I would say, useful spectrum goes to 48 kilohertz or so, which means that 96 kilohertz sampling would have been plenty. It would have unfortunately still included this garbage, but it would have eliminated all this. So what I downloaded, half of it was garbage, half of it was good. I don't remember if Name charged me more for 192 kilohertz versus 96 kilohertz sampling. Clearly there was no reason to get anything over 96, and you could actually go well below that to even 48 kilohertz and would have been plenty. So very disappointing, paid extra, and what I was sold was noise and garbage. Now they have another track that I downloaded beside that one. Let me see if I can find that. That one is 48 kilohertz sampling. You also see the inconsistency in naming. That is one of my pet peeves. The other one, they had put 193 kilohertz in the title, but this one does not. But we can play that and then quickly figure it out. So I've got that one downloaded also. Here in Audition, but right away we see a problem in the amplitude domain. These samples in here are definitely clipping, or right at clipping. They've kept them just a hair below. Disappointing. No reason to max these things out. Should have had a little bit more headroom in here. I can always turn up the volume. If we play this and get it over here. And watch the VU meters over here. This should have been, the comfortable range where this is in orange. But look at this, it goes right to 0 dB. We can look at the aperture statistics and see if it actually has clip. But regardless, it's just not good. We shouldn't have seen that. But let's go ahead and play the music. We see that the Audition is smart enough that has stopped the at what looks to be a 24 kilohertz, which tells me it's 48 kilohertz sampling. This is a live recording, and almost invariably the sampling rate of audio that goes with video concerts is 48 kilohertz. So that makes sense. As far as whether it's all good, let's play that. We see that all of it jumps up and down, correlated, which is the message I was trying to convey in the last one. So this is all, up to the end maybe. It's pretty good stuff. There's a bit of garbage in here that I don't like, right here. So we see another thing at 19 kilohertz that's wailing. Levels pretty decent, minus 100, minus 75 dB, minus 73 dB. Should not be there. And this is smack in audible band. But, due to masking, because everything else is loud, it's not heard. Or the older person like me that's listening to this that produced this couldn't hear 18.2 or whatever this is, 18.2 kilohertz. Should not be there. It's an artifact. But the rest, I should say, this is actually reference quality recording, but doesn't have full hygiene. Much better bet than the 192 kilohertz. At least we're not downloading a bunch of noise and junk. We're downloading real music. And but then we have clipping in here. Look at what's happening here. It's just not acceptable to have this maxed out. It should have had a little bit of headroom. Anyway, hopefully you found this educational. As I mentioned, I'll be producing more of these, digging into other tracks that I have, and it's like a reality show. Every one of them is going to be different. Thank you for tuning in, and talk to you later in the future video. Bye bye.